Hey guys, how you doing? It's been actually, I'm unmuted. Yeah, just want to make sure. It's been 2 weeks, so we're back, and I got to introduce of course, my co-host, the Man of Steel himself. It's been a while, huh, Mark?
Yeah, Jimmy, I feel like I haven't seen you for forever. So
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a
you
little
still,
while, but
you
it's
still know how to,
okay.
you still know how to use all the technology for everything?
Yeah, I just put your name in the top right corner again. I'm figuring it all out.
All right, okay.
It's good. It's a wonderful thing.
Right.
But yeah, we've been gone for a week, but that's okay. We're back. We didn't want to do it on election day, so we're doing it on today. And I got one today that this is actually very close to my heart. Our guests today, especially because one thing I want to tell you is the gentleman that I'm having on now and his daughter. You guys will get it in a second. I actually was the JVC first account. How do you like that? That's how far back me and the gentleman coming on and his daughter coming on. So I'm not to take no time with me wasting all the time talking here. We're gonna go to Mr. Paul Lagudi. Here he is from Lagudi Fresh Food Group. And I'm going to bring in his daughter, Paulina. There you are. How you guys doing?
Excellent.
Great. That's great. I'm glad you guys did it. And Paul, we go back a long time, and you were the very first account that I had. You know that. And it's great because I know everything he does is right on to the T. And Paulina has an interesting area within this whole thing too. You guys are going to love it, everybody out there. But first and foremost, Paul, let's talk about what you're doing with the new company.
Very excited, Jimmy. It's like going back 20 years again, starting again. Been in the business, like I say, over 20 odd years in Las Vegas and the US, because we're pretty broad. But I've always been in cut produce. But I'm very excited now because I'm in a lot more than produce. We do, it's called Lagudi's Fresh Food Group. We deal in box lunches, sandwiches, USDA meals, desserts. We do croissants, appetizers, hors d'oeuvres. So it's very exciting. As well, I'm still in produce as well. And I've changed a lot of my produce thinking, where I'm actually bringing the farm direct to the customer. Now, we've all heard farm to table, and it's pretty overused terminology, but this truly is. I don't take inventory of the product. I actually just truck. All I handle is logistics and billing of it. And when I see the product is when the customer's got the product, and which is great. Saves money. It saves, and you get more extended life on your product. And we've started here in Vegas, and something we're looking to really grow on. On top of that, we're also doing processed produce, which we haven't launched yet, but we will be launching in the new year. We're building a new building, 25,000 square feet. So once that's open, we'll be doing that. That's going to be fully USDA, SQF. So it's going to have a full bakery in it, full hot kitchen, and processing plant. So we're basically a true off-site kitchen to the casinos.
Yeah, exactly.
In many ways here in Las Vegas. 20 years of experience putting it together, and very excited about that. And we've got some good strategic partnerships with people. Like I've got a deal with La Bougerie Gourmet out of France, Lyon, France. We import croissants and pastries, which are phenomenal, and go worldwide with the product, as well as Las Vegas and throughout the country.
Well, that's great, Paul, because when I first met you, you know what I mean? I right away, he had the personality of you got to like the guy, so how can you not trust the guy? And then when I first met him, right, all the way through, it's exactly, how they say first impressions. It's amazing. And I can vouch for this guy, not only with the food safety stuff, but what he does, because every chef that he's dealt with can say that he provides the fresh produce, and now all his other stuff that he does. They all say it, so it's true.
Your word's everything, right? Your word's everything, and when we shake your hand and we say we're going to do it, we do it. Another item that we're bringing in that I want to explain, and Paulina's really involved in this, is the plant-based area, raised by plants. We're one of the only people in the country that import plant-based shrimp, and it's pretty cool, as well as other plant-based products, but plant-based shrimp. And another item that Paulina launched and created is plant-based scallops that we're
Haven't
working on.
launched yet. Haven't launched yet. We will in the new year, though.
It's in the R&D area. And I'll let Paulina talk more about that. On top of that, we do, as much as we've got websites there, we're in the process of building our website on Lagudi's Fresh Food Group. And a lot of that all comes down to Paulina's expertise, because she's in the movie making and directing and producing. And I'll let her talk more about that, but she does all that for us. So it's very exciting. I've got my son involved with me, so it's a true family affair between my son and my daughter. We're very excited.
Yeah, Mark, when I first used to go to Paul's place, I was still doing on the side, little work on the side in the beginning, but I remember going to Paul's place and he goes, I want you to meet my son. Guy, what was he, about 9, 10 years old or something back then?
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I see him not too long ago. I said, oh man, you grew up. It's how time flies. Wow. Yeah.
You don't have to grow too tall to be taller than you and me.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. We're the little guys in the industry. That's what we got to say. Perfect.
But he's a big fella now, and Paulina's she's shorter than both of us, but she's very more mature than all of us.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, because I don't remember meeting Paulina. Like we said off the air, I don't remember if I did. So are you younger?
I'm older than Roman.
Okay, so you're older than Roman. Okay.
Yes, I'm
so
older than
I
Roman.
probably I don't know. Maybe I did. I don't remember. That was a while back, right? So.
She would have been dancing or something.
Yeah, I did. I danced a lot growing up in Vegas in the competitive dance scene. I went to LVA, the Performing Arts High School over there as well for dance. So I was always there.
Oh, that's cool. So So what do you do to contribute?
A little bit about your history.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's actually kind of funny. My dad, my brother, and I, we come from Sydney and we come to Vegas, and for my brother and myself, watching my dad build his business from the ground up from nothing, it really is a little bit like deja vu, but in the best way possible with this, and especially too, it's such a testament to when we were growing up, his level of customer service and the lessons that we grew up with and the stories we grew up with weren't like childhood bed stories. It's like, this is how you get a customer. This is how you hold on to a customer. And, this is how you sell something, getting up at 1 a.m. and going to deliver stuff with him. And it's cool to see that hasn't changed, and he gets to really capitalize on those relationships. And for us, it's been super amazing to really contribute to that growth again with our own background. So for myself, like I said, I was a competitive dancer growing up in Vegas and went to school for dance and had a really terrible foot injury that kind of caused me to rethink things and get into different areas. And my husband and I, we work in the film industry and commercial industry. And so we have a production company and do a lot of commercial work, specifically in the food space for food brands. And we do narrative film as well. And I write, but the food brand space has been super interesting, especially since Netflix, opened up that whole world with the Chef's Table series. It really allowed the heightened filming of food to be taken very seriously in different food products. And just because, I grew up in the food industry and been filming food and I love to cook, am able to really help my dad in developing a lot of these different, more health food based products. Cause that's our life.
That's important today too. The health way of doing things. I mean, that's very important because there's a lot. I mean, we had a couple guests on before and it says, well, I guess with your type of food, you guys don't do anything for, what do I say, Mark, vegans or something, right? And they say, oh, no, we do that too, and they have all the specialty food. Everybody does. That is the direction that's extremely important,
Well, it's kind of a nice, very natural segue from produce, right? Having that fresh fruit, vegetable background and then going to process fruit and vegetables, it only makes sense to kind of, okay, now how do we develop things for salad bars? How do we, turn a lot of these vegetable products into things that now it's such a, everyone's wanting to eat more plant-based, and you've got this great background with all access to so many great ingredients and different types of food. And it kind of just made sense to kind of find a way to get into that space a little bit.
Great. So tell us how, you mentioned a little bit, I'm intrigued already about plant-based scallops and shrimp. It's not something I've heard of before. Can you expand a little bit more, or we shouldn't have let the cat out of the bag yet about that?
No, let that cat way out of that bag. Yeah. So, I mean, plant-based shrimp, it's interesting because obviously plant-based burgers really just took off, right? And it's funny because it's like you can never really fulfill people enough. It's like, okay, what about plant-based seafood? Yeah. And so this plant-based shrimp product, what's really interesting about it is there's been plant-based shrimp products and seafood products in the past, but just like how everything in this plant-based space has changed, it was full of a lot of bad ingredients. I mean, I don't even think there was a plant really in it. It was just a bunch of, soy and weird things in there that made it not really the best choice. And people are like, you might as well just eat the shrimp. So what we have is a konjac root based plant-based shrimp. So obviously with konjac root, what's so great about it is it's a super pliable product, right? So the way it binds to water and liquid makes it very shapeable. And also it has a natural like fish scent to it, which kind of helps for the shrimp. Very, very high in fiber. It allows you to not need a lot of additives to it because of its texture and its pliability. And so the plant-based shrimp it's really, we didn't want to add anything to it. So it's not really about adding like a flavor to it or like a marinade. So it kind of fits only in like maybe Asian-based shrimp dishes or only in this, Mediterranean-based shrimp dishes. It's really a blank canvas, and chefs are becoming a little bit more well known with how to work with ingredients such as konjac root and are really able to elevate the product. I mean, one of the best things that we tried was something that a chef put together that was kind of like this quinoa plant-based shrimp tabboule, and the plant-based shrimp wasn't even cooked. It's plant-based, so you can have it uncooked, but it was just, just really marinated heavily in these great flavors and lemon juice and acids, and it really just elevated it. Then you can do things like popcorn shrimp and all of this great stuff. And it's really just giving people also who have a shellfish allergy another option. But the biggest thing that I found about it is the fact that it's just like the demand for more legitimate plant-based options in restaurants, in hotels, and et cetera. It's now there. It's no longer, okay, you're the vegan, just have the side salad. People are expecting very elevated and fulfilling dishes.
So are they making this here in America, or do you have to go somewhere else to get it?
We import it, actually. Yeah, we import that product, and then the scallops we produce ourselves.
Okay, great. My wife and I have been using konjac noodles for our pasta for 2 or 3 years now. So
yeah, konjac for miracle noodles. I mean, it's definitely a product that's been around for a while. I mean, I know there's other plant-based shrimp companies that are really trying to work with kelp a lot and to see how that works, but it's all just a matter of finding things that are, gluten-free, vegan, like, soy-free, trans fat-free. It's got to be all the things free, completely allergen-free, and ours is GMO-free as well. And then when it comes to the scallops, it's something that we really developed in-house, which was great, and utilizing the oyster mushroom stem in a really interesting way. So trying to take an oyster mushroom stem, or we are taking an oyster mushroom stem, and just like infusing it with as much sea flavor as possible, but still giving it that blank canvas. So initially when we did it, it was really delicious, but it was so full. It already had a flavor in it. Like you could only maybe use it on soba noodles because it was just a very distinct flavor. Sure. So we're like, okay, the texture is there, the crisp was there, the way you can cook it is fantastic, the shelf life is great. Now how do we make it where we still feel the ocean, like the scallops have that delicious like sea flavor, but sometimes a bit of like a citrus to it a little bit, and so how do we get that just out of an oyster mushroom stem and have it feel like a scallop for people as well? So we're working on that.
Wow, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's been great.
With a lot of those meat products you're familiar with, the plant-based, they're all genetically modified. Majority of them. Ours is not. It's all non-GMO.
Right.
Clean ingredients is essential for us to be involved in this product. And Raised by Plants, if you go to our website, raisedbyplants.com, that's you'll see the shrimp and a lot of information on that. And very excited. We just launched it before COVID, so that kind of put a stunt on it. But now it's picked up again, and I think a lot of people wanting to be clean, and so it's just being relaunched.
It's interesting too, during COVID, how many people, it's like when COVID happened, also the plant-based industry also took off at the same time. So it was kind of an interesting timing for us to be still in the developing stages. It's quite good. And also for us on the genetically modified piece, we're also looking to create products that aren't contributing with a ton of waste either. Like, how do we reutilize maybe the type of a part of a vegetable or fruit or something that would be waste, and how do we repurpose that into something really delicious and useful for people?
Right. Are you noticing a lot of people picking it up here locally?
Picking it up locally.
Oh.
We have a lot of people. Well, this is, predominantly at the moment, we're food service based and ingredient based. So it's going to a lot of places, especially on the East Coast, Midwest. We were looking to start with in Vegas actually, but no banquets at the moment. So unfortunately that hurt us, and no buffets as well. Otherwise you'd see it on all of them. So that's has had to be delayed, but it's all in food service at the moment.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now you not only do Las Vegas. I mean, you go everywhere, correct?
We do, depending on the item. We're very diverse in what we do. And I did this on purpose. I have a USDA plant here in Las Vegas. I also have a USDA plant that I'm a part of in St. Louis, Missouri, where we make sauces, bases, short ribs, baby back ribs, and we ship all over the country with that. Cruise lines when they were running and getting back up again. And so that allows us to have a broad range for our customers, especially if you've got a kitchen that you want to have employee dining or set menus. We can create a meal and give you set pricing. Big factor makes us different to a lot of people is because I'm so close to the source and are the source. I like to give people set pricing, so that way we focus, which is quite unheard of in the food industry. But the biggest thing for every chef, I believe, is a stable food cost.
Right.
You get a stable food cost and you're happy with that. Now we just focus on quality and service. And that's put the pieces together. And that's always been a model I've always had. And it's always worked great for me. And we're looking to grow in that, but no longer just produce, as much as produce, but other items as well is what we're looking to grow in, an item that we do a lot of, and they're handmade with us, is French macarons. The macarons are phenomenal, and we can go all over the world with them, and currently we do a lot of places in Vegas, but we also do a lot of people out of Vegas as well, bakeries and fine dining restaurants, which we're about to launch. Paulina's going to launch it actually with Amazon.
Huh.
Yeah.
Phenomenal product, all handmade.
Great.
In our facility here in Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Paul, can you tell us a little bit about your history, how you made from Sydney to here, and now you have, it seems like your second business that you're growing, and you're growing across the country, and you have your family working. There's got to be some kind of history behind it. How'd you end up here? Tell us about it.
There is. I grew up in the food business in Australia. My grandfather, my father grew up in Australia with it. I actually had malignant cancer in 1999. So that was a big life changer for me. And for me, I had what I call the gift of cancer. So I would never have come to America if I didn't. I always wanted to live in America. So it was in 2000, I decided that I was going to move here with my kids. And I did. And I never had a formal education. I didn't graduate high school. I was always just working in a family business that was very big. And it really hit me when I moved here, when I couldn't get a job anywhere because I didn't have that formal education. So I started my business on $30,000, And Circus changed my life. I walked in there, and executive chef was Bob O'Brien, asked me, can I slice onions, dice onions, cut, slice tomatoes, dice tomatoes, and etc. I didn't have a clue because my background was in whole produce. I told him absolutely, and just told me. And he says, well, what else do we need to do? I said, just show me how to do it. And he did. And that's what changed my life. And then and the thing is, two things that we did that was very important. We always answered our phone, and we were available 24/7, 7 days a week. And we still are. And then that's how I built. And then I picked up MGM and Bellagio and one after another. And fortunately for us, it grew. But our word was everything. 2010, I did a partnership with a competitor at the time. And then in 2018, that came to an end from a working point of view. And now I'm back in the game on my own and with my son and my daughter. And we're excited to get back at it. And we're in the people business. See, I have a very diverse line of products, but that really doesn't matter. I'm in the people business. And when you connect with people and people trust you and you give your word, and your word's everything, and that's our life, that's what we're about, then it's a matter of what else you can serve them. And because they can trust you and they know you're going to do the best you can with the best people. And that's the contract, that's the intangible contract we give with every person we touch, is when we say we're going to do it, you can take it to the bank. You know, you can count on us. And
I remember the first time I met you, it's the way my father actually raised me. When you shake somebody's hand, you look at them in the eyes, and that's how you can tell that they're honest and they're, you know, they're genuine. Because if someone shakes your hand, looks the other way, you know what I mean? As soon as I met you, what'd you do? Hi, nice to meet you. You know, I'm Paul Lagudi. I says, hi, I'm Jimmy Vigilante. We laughed at the name, and after that, it was good. You know what I mean? There was no problem. We looked at each other. You know, we asked a couple of questions. You know, and that's when you came up with the project. That's how it works.
Yeah.
And,
you know, if you do wrong once, you're going to know it, and you're done.
Exactly. 100% correct.
We kind of run on the motto. I was a football player. I was a rugby player in Australia. And one thing you realize in rugby when you play football is you're only as good as your last game. And it's no different to business. So each day we deliver, I remind my people, we're only as good as our last game. So make sure you perform well. Because what you did last week, no one cares about anymore. And what you're going to do next week, no one really is thinking of that. They only care about what you're doing today. Right. And we can perform every day to the best of our ability and do it right. We're going to be very successful. And we've been doing it for over 20 years. And
that's what counts.
Same formula. Exactly.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know, when I first put this up, and I started putting this up out to everybody, you know, I did a little, little advertisement for it. There was so many people that were saying, I remember him. I know him. You know what I mean? You know, that kind of thing is just amazing, Bo, because you made an impact on the industry. And that, like you said, that's what it's all about, you know?
Well, I'm going to tell you, you know, what's interesting, Jimmy, you're right. You make an impact on the industry, but you know, what's even better? The amount of lives you impact, who you employ. And people that have been with me for a long time, who are all a part of the company. You know, you work with me, not for me, you know. And I always say, if you're really good, doesn't matter if I like you or don't like you, you ain't going nowhere. You know, and that's in anything you do, I believe.
Right.
And culture is very big for me. Having a good team, the culture, everyone's, you know, no one comes to work and looks at the clock. I want to get in at 9 and out by 9. It doesn't work with us. You don't want to leave. You know what I mean? You want to take care of the customer, and everyone cares. Every time you gain a customer, I've never seen a bunch of people, when you gain a customer, everyone gets excited. And if a customer is concerned about something, everyone gets concerned, you know, and that's what you want. That's how you keep people connected and involved and on their game.
Right.
I think
we have a guy that comes in, and good guy. He's from UK, and he comes in, Dave, and he sends you, Paul, a little question here. What was the performance that made you? I think he kind of explained it, but
What was the performance that made me?
Yeah.
I'll say it very easily in one word: persistence.
Yeah.
As I assume a lot of people have seen the show Rocky 2, Rocky 3, the Rocky movies.
Yeah.
I like to refer to myself that in Rocky 2, you know, when he gets knocked down and he keeps getting up again, and Apollo goes, this guy just doesn't stop. That's kind of how we are. You ain't going to beat us.
Right.
We're going to keep coming back. We're going to keep learning. We just don't quit.
Right.
Persistence is the key. I got into tremendous amount of persistence and resilience that I didn't even know I had. Don't think about it. My advice is don't think about it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Exactly right. Just do it.
I've heard these stories from me ever since they were kids. Just do it and make it happen.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, God! I remember the days when I first started Bellagio. Mark probably has the same stories. We didn't know what to expect. You know what I mean? I go in there, I'm doing this new job that I created there, and I'm going in there and I'm sitting there. You know what? Yeah, I've always been a health inspector before, but I never wore a suit. Okay, and then what do these people want from me? You know what I mean? And it's the same thing, you know. And I understand exactly what you're saying. Don't stop. You know, you keep going, you get knocked down, you come up. You know how many people tried to hold me back over there and I just kept going? You know what I mean? It's just the way it is. You got to go through everything and elevate yourself to the next level. I'm sure, Mark, you went through that too in a couple different ways. You know, there's all kinds of things that you have to go through each step to get where you are today, you know, but you got to believe in yourself, right, Paul? You got to believe in yourself.
You got to believe in yourself. You got to keep reinventing yourself. You know, I'll give you an example. We're going through a very tough time at the moment here in Las Vegas, and which we all know. In the last few weeks, we're now in the pizza business.
Yeah.
We make pizzas, you know, for employee dining, you know, Scratch Pizza. We've got a Scratch Bakery. You know, you listen to your customer and you fill their needs. And that's the key. Listen to your customer and fill their needs and be humble. You know, attitude of gratitude. Conceive, believe, achieve. I'll keep going on about it. I get excited. But that's really, these words is what keeps us motivated, keeps us going.
Yeah, it's really about being adaptable, which we've talked about a lot. And that's kind of the biggest difference with the Lagudi Fresh Food Group entity and that whole adventure compared to, you know, the past. I mean, the past Vegas world was different. And obviously, you know, fresh fruit and cut produce and everything was the name of the game. But now it's like everything is stacked against you to fail now. You know, it's almost like how many businesses can go out of business, you know. And what's funny is to kind of bring it back to that whole deja vu thing is Dad started, you know, Lagudi Enterprises right after 9/11, which was and the worst time to start a business. And now to start this during COVID, it's kind of another, I don't even know if he just does it because he's, you know, a glutton for punishment or, you know what I mean? But it's really a great example of that resilience of like, everyone will tell you now's the worst time, but the worst time's only the time when you've given up and you've refused to be adaptable. And as long as you're moving forward and being adaptable and you understand your margins, there's always a way to make something successful and make it happen.
Yeah. I guess if you figure you can do it now in 9/11, then you can thrive during.
Absolutely.
There's a lot less to lose.
I'm interested to hear more about your culture and how you created it with all your employees. How many do you have to begin with?
We have 75.
Okay, excellent.
And what was the question?
What have you done? You know, I'm very interested to hear about your culture that everyone wants to stick around and work and happy for the employees.
When you started,
I've been around for you know, a lot of different venues, and it takes a lot of hard work to get to that point. But it all starts at the top. I can promise you that, and that's why we want to hear how you do it.
You know what? It's funny you say that because I always say when a business is in trouble, normally it starts from the top.
Yep.
And the fish, you know, I don't know if you know this, but whenever you have a bad fish, it always stinks from the head first.
True.
Right? So it's very important to lead correctly. And I think one of the biggest things I like to do is I really listen to people. I empower people and I take their opinions and run with them. that I've got a team, and I'll give you an example. I've got some team of chefs, assistant chefs, and different workers. And I had one of the workers that just is on the line, puts product, had a great idea. I made everyone stop. I listened to him, loved it, appreciated it. You know what I mean? And that really empowered. I saw a difference in him, but then just empowering him empowered everybody that this guy wants to listen and give us an opportunity to start. So that you'd be amazed how much culture and how much excitement that brings out in people. And to be quite honest with you, I'm a straight shooter. If something's not right, I'll be the first to say, listen, brother, what are you doing? And if you're doing really well, I'm the first to say, I love you. You're doing a great job. And I'm I think it's very important to let people know they're doing a great job. Very important to let people know they're doing a great job.
A little bit on also, I think it's sometimes easier to talk about someone's culture too and history from like when you're not that person. And luckily I was there to witness a lot of this, but when Dad started Lagudi Enterprises, there was maybe 5 employees?
Yeah.
Less than that, supplying the hotels.
You still have one?
I
saw one the other day, right?
Exactly.
Well, that's that. And the thing with that is, when he bought the business, Dad wasn't the kind of owner that, opened the door, stayed in the office all day. He's back there cutting with them, So it was always this idea of like, Dad said, you work with me, not for me. And so it's kind of like, because he's such a young dad, it's kind of like he's always had this dad presence of, I'm involved. And a lot of times businesses, and because, we've been just so involved in the business for so long now, is a lot of companies, they just stay at the top and they never look what's beneath. Right. And Dad's never been like that. He's the leader of the football team. He wants to be in there. And if that means I'm cutting vegetables next to you to get the order done, if I'm the one doing, the drop offs, that's part of the excitement. And that's how you really get to know your business, is just being in there. And that's just, he hasn't changed. I mean, even starting now with this one, he's the same way. And now my brother's really taken on that role and we're all just extensions of him. So, that's a really, I think, unique part of my dad and how he leads that I think makes his culture so effective, his work culture so effective.
Wow. Does that trickle down to you as well? Are you the same go?
I am the same go. To my detriment. No.
You talked a little bit, Paul, about your making some pizzas right now and the stop and start of the plant business. Paulina, tell us a little bit more about how this whole COVID thing, it sounds like you guys had some good momentum going and really doing some good things. And then all of a sudden, just like all of us, all 4 squares here on the video camera all went through the same boat and everything just kind of got wiped off the table. How did you guys adjust? What other adaptations did you make? What other things did you do? So now you're in this position where you're smiling and thriving and ready to go to the next level.
Well, we were a appetizer hors d'oeuvre business. Banquets was our business, and it stopped. So we had to get very creative and get back onto what we're about. So we opened up a whole lot of different arms. Like I always mentioned before, we bring produce direct from the farms straight into the hotels. Big saving, longer shelf life, grow up, customer connection. And then because the appetizer hors d'oeuvre business is no longer there at this point in time, very little. Actually, it's starting to come back a little bit, but I think next year. So we've put our focuses into employee dining, because one thing with hotels is I think that's an area that's they're trying to control somewhere. And so we've been able to create different sandwiches, salads, different meals. And then we got into pizzas by listening to the customer. And this has taken off dynamite. We can produce it very inexpensively. People love pizza, and we deliver it on sheet pans. And it's just, we've kind of fallen into something that's been a tremendous item at this point in time for us. which I think longevity, it's going to be huge. It'll be great. But once everything else comes back on, that'll be just another item.
Well, and speaking on that too, kind of your point of, what's really interesting about Lagudi right now is it is set up like a kitchen, so, and with COVID and labor and all of these things, it allows you to have a lot of flexibility in what types of items you can provide. And from the Raised by Plant side, before COVID, there was a ton of, this person's going to have a meeting and this person's having a meeting and seeing all these people, and then stops, because it's in February and then March hits. And there was no momentum. And then I started to see that plant-based was really taking off. And I just went on LinkedIn. And I just did grassroots, reaching out to people, really getting the marketing materials right, and just thought, who would this be good for? Probably reached out to over 200 people. And then you get the one, and then the next one. And then that leads to another phone call and another phone call. And it was just, very grassroots sales. And it's amazing because, LinkedIn is something that we all have at our disposal. And especially in today's age, what a great way to be knocking on doors. But you can just do it, right there from your home. There's really no excuse not to have something. And just from LinkedIn and, doing a cold email was able to kind of lock in a pretty big customer, which was awesome for us because, that just kind of gives you that excitement and that momentum. And yes, we're all smiles because we're in the game. You know what I mean? Whether it's rain or shine, happy to be in it. So you don't have to be successful to be smiling.
I'm going to tell you something I've noticed, especially over the last 6 months. A lot of people today are very open to speak to anybody because I think everybody's been through something, that they never expect would happen. I mean, there's a lot of executives and people in executive positions aren't there no more. And the ones that are there are very thankful they got their position that they've got today. And I think that's allowing people to be more willing and open to speak to new people, new ideas, and give people opportunities. And a bit like the NFL, not for long. You know what I mean? Nothing's for long. So it makes it a lot easier. And I find people a lot more approachable to want to hear different items. What do you do? And like I said, we're in the people business. Having products just allows us something to sell you. I like to tell people I don't sell nothing. I just try to present you with products that may fill your needs. And I think most people want to deal with people they like, and they want to deal with a friend. And I like to make friends. And when you've got friends, you work harder for them because you don't want to let them down. And when you value friends, they can depend on you.
Right.
And that's why you want to become more competitive and aggressive to make everyone stay in front.
Paul, I got another question for you.
What's that?
Dave again over in UK. Give me a lot of questions. Is the fresh fruit in the US okay? I guess the fruit that's here, that's grown here, is it okay? I don't know if they're having problems over there or not. I'm not sure.
Well, I would say I know the UK. And I assume UK does a lot of processed product. UK has a lot of, I would say the biggest difference with the UK, they grow to a season, where in the US, we want cantaloupes all year round. So if you notice, we'll have cantaloupes in our summer season, are very tasty and beautiful. And then in the off season, we'll have them available, but they're not as sugary, not as flavorful. Because they're coming from Costa Rica and these other countries.
Right.
And they get them greener, and because they've got to ship them, you don't want to have ripe because then it'll be no good. And when it gets here, sometimes the flavor, sometimes it may not be as potent as it is when it's local. But no problems in fruit here. America has some great fruit.
That's great. And I remember walking into doing the inspection in the days of past, and you said, hey, try this out. What do you think? I remember those days. I remember all the time. And Paulina, going back to what you were saying about that you've gone on LinkedIn and you've looked up. I've done the same thing because I was talking to Paul the other day, and I spoke a little bit with Mark about it, is that what I'm starting to do now is create food and beverage safety programs for what I just found out not the marijuana industry, but they call it the hemp industry now because they're introducing the hemp into foods, right?
And that's I work with hemp protein all the time. That's a plant-based protein.
Yeah, there you go. See, so what I'm saying, and then what's another thing, Paul, is that not to get into the regulation thing, but it's kind of unique that it's not the state that oversees that because it's hemp. It's not called marijuana. It's actually the local business license departments. So there's really, I guess, not a foreseen, well, this is what you got to do. You understand what I mean? Yet.
Right.
So that's where I'm coming into play on that. And we're going to having a whole thing on that next week. But I just wanted you guys, because that's like you're using that, product and everybody's going in that angle for different things. But I understand because I did the same type of research you were just explaining, and it's important because you see people and you talk to people, and I've listened to a couple of these podcasts or different kind of based on what me and Mark have here because we're more loose. We're not gonna have a program where I'm gonna give you this, you say that. No, we just let everybody talk the way they want to talk. But it's what was unique about it is you get so much information, And, and a lot of things I see, like if you go to YouTube, sometimes you don't buy what you see on YouTube. I'm sure you see things like that. You know what I mean, Paul? What
Absolutely.
You do. Yeah. Absolutely. And, you gotta see it for yourself. But no, and, and I appreciate everybody coming from different parts of the world, to tune in because they don't. A lot of people want to come here. I think, also getting back to the UK, I think they're doing their second lockdown now. I read today up with this COVID.
Europe, yeah.
Yeah. So it's rough. It's
tough.
Rough.
Very tough.
Yeah.
It's very tough. So they'll be buying I'd say they'd be buying a lot of fruit that may have a little bit of preservative so it can hold a little longer for them.
Can stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But listen, you just got to be creative. You got to be creative. You got to be willing to think out of the box and have a go.
Yeah. You're around the head. He said yes, so he knows you're around the money. Get Mark. You had a question, pal.
Yeah, I was actually I'm kind of interested. So your relationships, and this is for both of you. So the relationships you definitely have with your employees, that's great. But you're kind of the middleman with a lot of relationships with your clients and with producers as farmers and things like that. Can you kind of tell us about some cool relationships you have with different farmers or different producers that you have stuff that nobody else has? What kind of things
absolutely
that nobody else that we can't get anywhere else?
Well, let me put it this way, and I'm going to go through all my product lines, okay, very quickly. When it comes to produce, I have a relationship with Paul Villa and Sean Villa, his son now, Great West Produce. Been in the business for over 50 years. You are not going to beat us in price. You are not going to beat us in quality because his relationship with these farms goes back long way. And he has I don't want to get too depths of his business because it could be more private, but the spirit and the way they pay people quickly and honorable. The line that you'll find with me and everyone I deal with, we're all honorable. We're all handshake people. A great person. So the reason I had an alliance with Paul, who's like a dad to me here in America, I love the man, do anything for him, and he'd do the same for me, is that I know I can bring everything is very transparent with my customer. My customers get to meet them, they meet the customer, and they get to see how connected we are. So for quality and price, you're not going to beat us because it's the source. People go to him to buy from. Now, he's partnered with us. So when you're in Vegas, you're not buying from me as a local distributor. You're buying from someone who's the source. Make sense?
Yeah, of course.
When you talk about croissants and pastries that we import from France, from La Bougerie de Gourmet, they're the source in Lyon, France. We're the only people in America that handle that product. So no one else has got that product line. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
how did you meet these people? I've
known them for over 20 years. And when I got back in the business, sorry, I got my two little corgi dogs here want a little play. So I don't know if you can hear them. I've known them for 20 years. And when I got back in the business, they said, Paul, listen, we supply Costco nationwide, all over the world, actually. We want to help you get back in. Would you be interested in wanting to do this in the US? And I said, absolutely, I would. And I said, I have to be the exclusive. They said, you got it. Because I said, that's what gives us the key. I've known John, Mark, and Cyros for forever. And that's how we started that relationship. Sorry about that, mate.
That's all good.
They're taking me off, maybe not you guys. And then it comes to our USDA kitchen in Missouri with Supreme Cuisine and Marv Eisenbach. He's I've known Marv forever, who for over 20 odd years again. When you talk chicken, when you talk beef, when you talk sauces or chicken tenders, he's, if not the biggest buyer of overruns, if you want to say, from Tyson Foods and Pilgrim's Pride and those areas. So we get those products and we make those products. So when you want to short an overrun, no one's going to beat me in price. When you got
that's all right. It's all good.
I threw my pen at it. I won't take my pen. When you talk overruns, or when you want to talk a meal like short ribs, for example, short ribs are very expensive, very hard to get. Well, for us, it's a lot easier to get the source of the product. Okay. There's a relationship I've had over 20 years. Like I say, he's like a Paul Villa to me. We're like this. We're connected. He came to me and said, Paul, you're getting started again in Vegas. I want to be with you. I said, well, let's do it. So we do baby back ribs. We do New York cheesecake. We do chocolate ganache. We do tuxedo mousse cakes. All these products I get through Marv out of Supreme Cuisine in Missouri. Which brings me to my plant. Well, we are the source, because all my produce that I'm getting from Paul, which is the source, and then we're making sandwiches and we're making salads and we're making hors d'oeuvres and appetizers. You know, you're dealing with someone who's the source of the product that's making this, with the manufacturer. You know, a lot of manufacturing places have to buy from someone. You go to a Cisco or US Foods or someone else is getting it. Well, we cut out everybody. We are the source. And that's where those relationships make a benefit. And that's 20 years of friendships.
Yeah. Which
goes to the customer side as well as 20 years of friendships and relationships that people have seen your word mean something. Mm-hmm. And that's really what got me back into the game again.
Yeah.
Is the relationships.
You're a people person. I mean, you know, you like people. There's nothing wrong with that. I like that too. Yeah. It's the way I am. You know, you got to be outgoing, and, you know, it is what it is, you know. Hey, Pauline, I got one for you. Okay. Mm-hmm. You've got your production company. Okay. Mm-hmm. Let's see explain what you do. Let's, you know,
yeah.
Go ahead. It's your time. I mean, explain what you do, because I'm sure there's people out there that definitely want to know about the production company. I know you do things with food and beverage, but what else do you do?
Yeah. Well, it's funny because it's like when you start in anything, especially a very saturated industry, like commercials and then branded work became a huge thing because of YouTube and Instagram, and everyone wanted, you know, really high quality stuff. I started very grassroots with it. I mean, again, a lot of it just going online, finding people, or, you know, relationships. This friend now has this friend that works at a hotel, and they need someone to come in and do, you know, a commercial for them. And at first I was coming in and doing it pretty much all for free. I, you know, pay my crew and stuff, but was doing it all for free myself. And from there kind of was able to build up enough of a reel and a portfolio, and really focused on food, because the people that I knew that were older than me that were doing things were all in the food industry because of my family. So that and there's actually not a lot of, you know, weirdly enough, female directors that do food commercials. It's super niche, but the industry is very about that. So that was kind of an interesting road that I found myself down. And then I did kind of a short documentary for this chef, Christophe Bonagras, that I actually knew from Vegas. He was a chef when I was a kid that used to work at this restaurant we used to go to all the time. And then he was a big chef in New York and worked at a Michelin restaurant, and then moved to LA and worked at one of the oldest restaurants in LA, and was very successful there, and, you know, met up with him. And I just wanted to do a documentary about him and do something that was a little bit more of that chef's table-esque, because some producers of friends of mine were like, we need you to kind of create something with that so we can pitch it to other companies. Long story short, did it, got into some film festivals, did very well. And that kind of led me to working with Blue Apron. And they're a company that we've done the last national commercial that launched in January. We did that. And then I directed that one. And then all of their chef collaborations as well. I think we've done three out of the 4 of those, because one of them during COVID, we couldn't get to New York. And that's been incredibly interesting to do and been a lot of fun and opened up a lot of opportunities. But pretty much what I do is I just tell stories. We made a movie as well, which was a lot of fun. We made a family movie that ended up on Showtime. It's still on Amazon. It's on all the platforms. It's called Mail Order Monster. Go check it out. Has Charisma Carpenter in it. She's another Las Vegas native as well. And we shot that in rural Kentucky in 2017. And that was absolutely crazy, but a lot of fun. And, like anyone in any industry, I haven't been doing this for that long. I mean, I graduated college in 2014, and to be able to do this as a career, work with my husband, he's a cinematographer, and do that now, I feel very, very lucky. But always, pushing and moving and doing the next thing. I have another film that my managers are packaging now and getting some actor attachments going. But COVID's been really interesting for the film industry. Commercials have been in high demand, believe it or not, but everyone's learning how to work with a very, very small crew. And because, my husband and I work together, it actually has helped us a lot because we're a single household. And I do a lot of different things and I edit as well. So it's actually helped us, COVID, in a way.
If you need a commercial or something made, Paulina has the ability to make it, write it, direct, and turn it around very quickly.
Yes,
because between her and her husband, and that's a big thing. That's a big saving, especially for now for a lot of people.
Well, like I told you, I'm going to come talk to you about something, right? Okay, I'm going to come talk to you about the this here and the JVC thing and all that. But there is one thing that you guys don't know about me. I don't even think Mark knows about me. Okay, you see this little guy in the back here? Okay?
Oh,
you see that little guy in the back there?
Yeah.
how do you say it? I am really big into it, and so is the wife, ghost hunting. Okay, I'm a paranormal guy, yeah. And just before COVID, I didn't really announce this to anyone, but I don't care if everybody's listening. I was going to move into vigilante paranormal. Okay.
Oh, wow.
I must have spent about almost 30 grand in all the equipment, legit stuff.
Oh my God.
So we will talk because if you don't.
Oh my God. This is a series.
I was interested in something like that. But I was thinking about going to do this in some of the old restaurants. How do you like that, Paul? You know what I mean? It's still food and beverage, but I was thinking about, because a lot of people who have old restaurants, they always say, I always hear them talking to something moved in the corner. Like you say, you have these ideas, and whether it's just for fun, who cares? And nobody does that. Now probably, but it doesn't matter because you're still not vigilante, right? Okay. So
hey, they always say the more niche you can be, the better. Especially now with everything. If you can be super niche with stuff and you've got your your lane of what you're selling, that's the key.
Yeah, exactly. I'll tell you when we're not here, the things that I have done, and what I have seen and witnessed and have recorded, actually. But later on down the road.
Isn't Ghost Hunters one of the most successsaid, longest lasting TV shows?
Yeah, well, the one that I love this. I love the subjects. I told Mark, we're going to do different subjects. I said, but one thing that I really liked was Ghost Adventures. Okay. And before it got all publicly, grew into more commercial, when it was like in the beginning, that's what really got me hooked. I've always been interested in it, but it's not about you sit there and go to a graveyard and you hang out at a graveyard. It's not about that. You know what I mean?
Did you like Paranormal Activity then? Do you like those movies?
Yeah. I saw them all those type of movies I seen. We watched. My wife and I always been into it, but the things that I don't say here yet, but the things that we've witnessed and recorded and seen and heard. I mean, I've got programs that you can sit there and analyze the recordings you receive. It's amazing, you know?
Oh, wow.
And you take it from what the shows show you. But then when you look at the different equipment that they have, you find out, like I was saying, you link it in, but you do something else and you find out what other people are utilizing. And I just had something built, which I won't go into it, right before COVID that is so remarkable. I haven't even used it yet. You know, I can't wait. We haven't had
you can't wait to use it though, huh?
Yeah, okay, you know that.
After COVID, there's going to be a lot of empty restaurants that you can definitely
get
into.
But that's just an idea. But the whole idea, reason why I said that is because it goes right in line with what you guys say. You know, it really means something to deal with people one-on-one. You know what I mean? It's 100%, and that's why probably we connected big time, Paul. You know what I mean? In the very beginning.
Totally.
Yeah, it just.
And I think that's where Vegas really needs to get back to.
Yeah.
Connecting. You know, connecting. You know, I know we're big corporations today, but we really need to get the personalities connecting with the people. And sometimes you got to give to get. And that's where Vegas may actually cycle. You know, things do cycle, I believe. And I think that's something that we're going to have to possibly, you know, really look at. And maybe that's going to happen with the Circa and places like that, you know.
No, I agree. And I want to show everybody, this is Lagudi's Fresh Food Group. The website is being developed. I understand that 100%. There's the phone number. You reach Paul. Okay. Roman's there. I mean, it's great. And for Pauline, there's Pauline's information, which I know I'll be using Pauline soon. I'll be calling her.
You can go to raisedbyplants.com too, if you want to learn more about the plant-based products.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. That's excellent. Well, it comes down to the end where Mark and I always ask a question. I leave it to Mark to ask you guys a little question. It's not backing in a corner. It's kind of cute and kind of fun. Okay, Mark, ask them the question because I know he likes to do it, and I know that you guys will enjoy it, and it's going to really make you think on a whole different level. Go for it, Mark.
All right. Thanks, Jimmy. So, well, I did know that you were a ghost hunter, by the way, Jimmy, and I'm still friends with you after all this time. So,
okay, there you go.
But my question is for both of you, and I know Pauline. I don't know how long you lived in Las Vegas, but you know, mostly for Paul. But you guys are both welcome to answer it. As we always ask all of our questions to everyone who's got Las Vegas ties. You know, you've been in town, sounds like over 20 years. That a lot of people, you know, when you come to Las Vegas, you see everything on, you know, on TV and the big lights, but once you get here, you're like, wow, this is really kind of a crazy world. So we ask all of our people, can you give us some kind of experience or some kind of thing that happened to you that you wouldn't believe it if you were back in Australia or lived in San Diego, that, you know, something that a celebrity you ran into, a gambling story, just something that.
I don't think any of these are appropriate.
It's okay. It's not rated.
Well, I think one of the best stories, which I didn't really hit on, that brought me to Vegas out of everywhere in America, was Paulina's godfather, who was one of the original owners of Caesar's Palace, and his name was Dean Shendell, and he was a great fella. He was probably in his day very charismatic Vegas guy. The movie Casino, Rosenthal spent 2 weeks with him. Robert De Niro spent 2 weeks with him learning because he was Lefty's partner. So I got to meet a lot of the characters, if you want to say. I remember meeting Oscar Goodman, who was the attorney for all of them. Sure. And that's kind of how I came to Vegas, you know. And so I'd say he's probably one. And I met, Tony Curtis, Jimmy Kahn. Mm-hmm. We all used to go to the ranch. Remember, Paulina was only a little baby. Yeah. We'd go to the ranch, and that was amazing stories.
And for, you know, kind of in that old school era, you know, growing up in Vegas, I was Danny Lewis, Jerry Lewis's daughter, was one of my good friends growing up. So, you know, we'd get taken out of school 6th grade, 7th grade, and we'd get picked up in a limo and driven to the private airport, and we'd get on a plane, leave, get out on the end up in Beverly Hills, get on the red carpet, you know, meeting Tom Hanks, meeting all of these people for that's when they re-released The Nutty Professor. And so, you know, I'm a little 13-year-old, 12-year-old at the time, and you know, didn't really think much of Jerry Lewis. I didn't know who he was until everyone's like, you hang out with Jerry Lewis. I used to be at his house all the time, and it's so sad that, you know, he passed, had a great long life. But that's probably one of the most, besides so many Vegas stories that could just get very out of control, that's probably the most quintessential, like, Vegas.
That's a great story. I like that.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I really do love it. Guys, thank you so much. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
It was
nice
a pleasure. I know I'm going to see you soon.
Absolutely. Good luck with the show. Great show. And thank you so much for big supporters.
Thank you. Thank you. And Pauline, I'll be in touch with you, you know, and
good.
Nice to re-meet you again. Right?
Yes, absolutely.
We'll be in touch. Okay, guys? Thank you again. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Nice meeting you guys.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Well, Mark, there you are. I'm not going to let you go. Are you kidding me?
You're getting me out of here. You're bumping me out right away.
No, we're not dumping you out. Okay, so now, next week, okay, I'm going to do this because I want to really push this. It's a whole new area. This is what it's going to be called next week, okay? The future of food and beverage and cannabis, okay? So it's going to be a lot about the hospitality industry with the use of what we have to call in this state hemp. I found that out today, and cannabis, and we're going to go into it. And you know the lady, you've dealt with her for a long time, Jen. Okay, you know her very well. She's had so much experience in the past with the hospitality. She has a group. We'll go into it next week. So anybody who is interested in this field, as far as chefs, as far as cultivating, as far as anything, okay, because it does go into the hospitality industry, please tune in because this is going to be a great one. It's going to be our first dip into the area, okay, but it's going to be great because it's still considered food and beverage. And Mark and I, you know, we'll have fun with it. So, buddy, how's everything been? What's going on with you? Because we just had two good guests, great people.
Great. No, just been very busy, and we have a few side adjacent projects working from RHI, and our alcohol awareness is up and going, and we'll be making a big announcement and some free cards very soon to the community. So we're just organizing that, and we might actually have all the details on next week's show as well. So
excellent. We're going to have a good time. I mean, I've been busy too. I've been, not that one. Well, where'd mine go? But anyway, there it is. Okay. But you know, I've been busy too, doing my thing with different places, and, you know, some big places, some small places, still the same thing. I haven't changed anything. The whole approach is the same, but, you know, we're going to have a good time. I'm glad we're back on our normal thing. We'll probably do a little hiatus near the end of the year or so, but, right now, you know, we're going to have this week, next week, and the week after, and then we'll see where we go from there. But still, we got a lot of support. Everybody loves what we do. I love what we do. So, definitely, Mark, I'll be in touch with you. You have a great week, buddy.
Thanks, everyone, for watching. We'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Bye-bye.